You're 3 hours into a guided trek when you kneel down to retie your boot, and by the time you look up, the group's voices are gone. Not faint, gone, swallowed whole by a wall of green that looks exactly the same in every direction you turn. Actually, no, let's make it worse. It's getting darker under the canopy, even though sunset is hours away, because up there the treetops interlock so tightly that almost none of the daylight makes it down to where you're standing. The trail beneath your feet, the one you've been walking on for hours, quietly stops being a trail and just becomes forest. Here's the real question. What actually happens to you out here, hour by hour? And what's actually watching you while you figure that out is about to sound completely insane. It didn't take a disaster to get here. One moment kneeling to fix a boot, one wrong direction picked because standing still felt worse, and you've crossed from tourist to statistic. The Amazon covers roughly 5.5 million square kilometers across 9 countries and holds an estimated 390 billion trees. Underneath that canopy, distance stops meaning what it means anywhere else, because you usually can't see more than a few meters in any direction to begin with. You start walking, picking one direction and committing to it. For a while, the jungle is loud, insects, distant birds, something shifting in the canopy above you. Then without any clear reason, it goes quiet, not peaceful, quiet, alert quiet. Ecologists have a name for exactly this, an alarm call silence, the sound of every prey animal within earshot freezing at once because something bigger just moved through. You don't know what. You just know the forest noticed it before you did. Let's be honest about what's actually sharing this space with you. Scientists estimate the Amazon holds somewhere around 2.5 million insect species, more than anywhere else on Earth, and that's before counting the snakes. Species like the fer-de-lance and the bushmaster live in leaf litter that looks exactly like the ground under your boots right now, patterned well enough that you could pass within a foot of one and never know it was there until it moved. Somewhere nearby, there is almost always a snake close enough to matter. Add the humidity on top of that. Under the canopy, it regularly sits above 90%, thick enough that sweat stops evaporating and just sits on your skin, which means every scrape or bug bite you already have stays wet and starts to soften instead of closing up the way it would almost anywhere else. Then the sky opens up. Amazon rain doesn't build slowly, it just starts, and it can drop several centimeters in under an hour. Standing under a tree barely helps either, since the canopy holds water and keeps dripping long after the rain itself has stopped, so you do what people who actually know this environment do. You cut an angled frame from branches and build a lean-to layering broad leaves, heliconia or banana relative leaves work best, shingled downward so they overlap like tiles and shed water instead of soaking it up. You get it off the ground too, even just a low platform, because the ground is exactly where the water pools and exactly where the snakes are. Night doesn't ease anything up out here, it just changes shape. If you had a light and swept it across the tree line, you'd catch dozens of small pale points staring back at you. Spiders, caimans, moths, night monkeys, all of them bouncing your light back through a reflective layer behind their eyes called the tapetum lucidum. Most of it is small, harmless, completely uninterested in you. But somewhere past the edge of what you can actually see, one set of eyes catches the light and doesn't move, doesn't blink, just holds still in the dark and watches. Low to the ground behind a screen of leaves, because jaguars hunt by night, and stillness is exactly the tool they're built for. Here's the part that surprises people. In December of 1971, a German-Peruvian teenager named Juliane Köpke was on a flight that broke apart in mid-air over the Peruvian Amazon. She fell nearly 2 miles still strapped into her seat and survived, the sole survivor out of 91 people on board, with a fractured collarbone, a gashed arm, and one eye swollen shut. She was completely alone in exactly this kind of jungle. But she'd grown up at her parents' research station in this same rainforest, and she remembered one piece of advice her father had given her. If you're lost near water, follow it downstream because it will always lead to people eventually. She walked and waded along a creek for 11 days, fighting off infected wounds, before finally finding a boat and the loggers who saved her life. Sound familiar? That same principle is exactly how communities have moved through this rainforest for thousands of years. Groups like the Yanomami and the Achuar don't navigate the Amazon with a compass. They navigate it with rivers. Because rivers are the one thing here that reliably goes somewhere. Villages are built along them, routes follow them, and children learn a river's bends the way kids anywhere else learn street names. We just swap that river knowledge for GPS, and GPS doesn't work under 100 feet of unbroken canopy. Relax a little, though, because that same fact is the reassuring one. You come from a species that evolved partly in forests like this one, and the instinct that got Julianne Kopka out wasn't some superhuman skill. It was one simple rule. Moving water is almost always going somewhere, and somewhere is better than standing still. Here's the twist, though. Everyone braces for jaguars, snakes, piranhas. Realistically, none of those are what actually kills most people stranded out here. The real danger is water itself, not drowning in it, but drinking it. You're standing in one of the wettest places on Earth. Rivers and streams everywhere you look, and almost none of it is safe to drink untreated. Parasites and bacteria in still or slow water cause severe dehydrating illness, and that illness, not a predator, is one of the leading real threats to anyone lost out here for more than a few days. You can be standing in water up to your knees and still be dying of thirst. So you're not just lost in the Amazon. You're surrounded by exactly the thing you need most, in a form you can't safely use, watched by something that's very good at waiting, in the one place on Earth with the most of both. Back to that spot where the trail disappeared. Except now it's morning. Rain-soaked leaves overhead, lit up pale green. The lean-to holding just enough shape to have kept you dry. Whatever was watching from the dark last night is gone with the light. You climb down, find the nearest sound of moving water, and start walking downstream, the same instinct that saved a badly injured 19-year-old alone in this same rainforest more than 50 years ago. You're not lost in the Amazon. You just haven't found the river yet.